I'd like to talk to you today about how the Seven Families project began, what it is, how we put it together, and what we hope to achieve through it. To begin with, perhaps I can tell you a little bit about the IP Task Force who are organising Seven Families. The IP Task Force was formed in 2005 by Clive Waller and myself. It exists to promote the value of both group and individual income protection to consumers and throughout the industry. We meet 6 times a year and have ongoing activity in areas such as advisor training, government and regulator liaison, and press and PR contact. We've produced 2 widely circulated white papers, and last year produced an interactive guide to the world of income protection called Signposts to Income Protection. We work happily and openly with other trade associations, including the ABI and GRID, and regularly attend their meetings and speak at their events as they speak at ours. IPTF members include most of the large providers, reinsurers, and leading consultants and advisors. The IP Task Force Executive consists of myself as chairman, Karen Lloyd, who had a distinguished career at Swiss Re and is an internationally recognised authority on claims management, John Gilman, who has a long career in the provider and consultancy market and has a strong group IP background, Richard Walsh, who is a former senior civil servant and head of the ABI Life and Health Protection area, and Roy McLaughlin, who is a leading and much decorated protection advisor with a strong knowledge of both individual and group income protection. We're just about to introduce a new senior figure to the executive to replace Nick Kerwin, who worked extensively on our welfare modelling programme. Income protection is a misunderstood and, in an individual sense, certainly a largely overlooked product. There's low awareness and appreciation of the value of income protection, not only among the public but also amongst the advisor population. Crucially, there's real ignorance of the problems that can arise from disability in a financial sense and the financial vulnerability of many people to serious accident or illness. We need to make employers, individuals and advisors aware of this, and sadly we believe something more graphic, realistic and relevant is required to highlight the problem that not only has deep personal consequences for the families of seriously ill people, but also has massive economic impact as far as the country is concerned. We decided to solve it when, in a light bulb moment, Karen Lloyd said exasperatedly, "What if we could highlight the personal struggle of real people in real situations struggling with disability?" From that moment, the seed of an idea developed into something significantly more substantial, and Seven Families was born. Of course, having an idea is one thing, but creating a very detailed and complex campaign is another. The first problem is, do we create a proposition first without knowing if there is likely to be support, or do we approach potential sponsors to see if there is an appetite to support this sort of campaign? With a proposition of this sort, some of the questions that you have to tackle early on are: how do you get a big project off the ground initially? How do you capture media attention? What sort of financial sum will be required to fund it? How much involvement do you need, and should you try to involve as many companies as possible? And how much should a contribution be, and should everybody contribute the same? We decided to make this a charitable project to benefit disabled charities, and also to ensure that anybody looking from the outside of the project could see funds being disposed of appropriately. We engaged with 2 charities, Disability Rights UK, to handle all funds and to access all the families we would support, and Legal Care to handle all the legal aspects. We built the 3 elements of the project simultaneously. We built the customer-facing infrastructure, we recruited the funders, and we constructed an internal process which would deliver what we needed. In terms of external communications, we needed to find companies that could handle consumer trade, national, regional and personal finance PR in print and online, and that's a big task. Also to support broadcast and social media activity, and in this day and age the social media aspects are hugely important. And we needed people who could coordinate with all the other agencies and the charities to maximise reach and awareness. The key decisions we took were to work with Carr Consulting in Communications, where Kevin Carr and Matt Morris understand the technical context of this project very well and can relate it to the different worlds it must reach. Also to work with HTF Media, who have huge experience in scripting and filming disabled people and do this very sympathetically and effectively. And to work with an agency, The Relative, a media firm who, with creative skill and knowledge in how to develop audiences through social media. We estimate the funds we obtain will be apportioned as follows. Approximately 50% will go direct to the families, just over 20% will be used to communicate the message, just over 20%, possibly between 20 and 25%, will tell the story in film, which will include subtitles for hearing impaired people, and around 9 or 10% will go to the charities running the project. We can't be exact about this because it will depend on how the project develops and any other issues that arise as the project is being run. Whilst we would want as much as possible to go to the families, it's also vitally important that we communicate effectively and get the message out to as many people as possible. One other thing which we want to emphasise is that nobody from the IPTF executive is receiving any remuneration whatsoever for running this project. Recruiting the funders was a long process which took over 5 months and in some cases is still ongoing. From May, when we had a hard press launch for the concept, we asked for final commitments of 20,000 each from a range of funders. We now have 19 of those funders and some companies are still considering participation. How are we going to look after the families? There are 4 elements of our internal infrastructure. There is a Benefits Advice programme provided by Disability Rights UK, who run an expert helpline. There is financial advice which we're able to provide through a network of advisors. This will extend beyond the life of the immediate project. We will also provide emotional support and liaison with medical agencies, and this will be provided by Red Arc, and again it will extend beyond the life of the project. And we will provide case management of each of the 7 families, and this will be provided by 5 insurers as well as industry professionals and qualified rehabilitation specialists. We'll also have oversight by Karen Lloyd, an independent experienced claims and underwriting manager, Julie Hopkins, who has great industry experience and a very fine reputation in the industry, and Jason Juspel from DR UK. We'll also feed into the various aspects of the media. They need to understand the way the case management process will work, the therapy that we're providing for the families, and the new equipment and rehab services that are making a difference to the lives of the people involved in the project. This is the way the project works, a flowchart that makes it real. I won't spend too much time on this slide other than to say the process has to be smoothly integrated from start to finish. We are dealing with real people in immensely difficult and deeply emotional circumstances, and we need to insulate them from unnecessary strain whilst highlighting the issues they face so that it can help them and other people coming after them. Work on building an audience via social media is an ongoing process. Initially, Facebook is the main channel that we will use, but as film content grows, YouTube will become an increasing focus of attention. The 7 Families website is also a major resource which will highlight new developments and latest progress as it develops. An action group of all the key agencies involved in the project meets monthly, although interactions between various elements are constant. And the funders group, the people who actually put in the money, meet every 2 months so that we can brief them on key details, new information, and discuss and review plans for the future. The first case launched in November in the Mail on Sunday, and Jeff Prestridge, probably the best read personal financial journalist in the country, who is also a huge fan of this initiative, covered it as well in Financial Advisor in the next week. It was superb coverage and created great impetus inside and outside the industry. This is the emblem and logo of Seven Families, which many funders are using as a badge on their website. Now to look at the stories of the people that we're helping. Firstly, Paul Pickford. Paul from Bolton was a very fit and healthy man and ran a car dealership, a very busy car dealership, until 2 years ago. In November 2012, at the age of 42, he suffered a massive brainstem stroke, completely without any warning, while at work. He's now paralysed and cared for by his wife Vicky. He's virtually totally paralysed and lost the power of speech, but we're delighted to say that since we've been working with him, he's made real progress physically and in terms of his speech, and we're hoping to support him with speech therapy. Ultimately, he hopes to run a business from home. This is Tracy Clark. Tracy is virtually blind due to progressive eye disease. She had to sell her house and lives on a narrowboat with her husband and a very valuable and affectionate guide dog, Oakley. Using specially adapted computer software, she hopes to start a publishing business. We're also providing journalistic training and mentoring for her, and she's making real progress too in our chosen new career. Daniel Pinder from Cornwall was born deaf and is epileptic, but was a successful rehabilitation officer until 2009 when he got multiple sclerosis. He's being helped by Canada Life on a case management basis, and we're working with him to help him return to work. That process is ongoing. What are the plans for future recruitment? Well, we're just about to announce 2 more cases and have a further 2 in the pipeline. That will give us the 7 families that we're looking for. It's a painstaking process. Many cases are not suitable. Many people are not willing, understandably, to undergo the level of scrutiny before or after being accepted. And we're also looking for the right level of diversity in all sorts of ways, in terms of their situation, their race, gender, location, medical condition, and the challenges that they face. What might come next? Well, we want to raise awareness with government, advisors, and the general public. We want all those who could sell income protection in some form but don't to seriously challenge themselves about why they don't sell it. We may turn 7 Families 2015 into a film, and we will need to consider very seriously if this is a one-off or a continuing campaign. These are the key web addresses and web links. Please look at the website and at our Facebook page and think about how you could engage with 7 Families. So how could you engage with 7 Families? There are several ways. You could look at the Just Giving page to see if you would like to donate. You could share the links with contacts that you have. And you could continue to follow the Facebook and YouTube stories. Those links and the Just Giving address are on the slide. You could discuss the project within your company and the various aspects that are very important about long-term illness and disability. And never forget the value of IP to an individual or to their employer. 7 Families has been the most worthwhile thing I've been involved in since I've been in the industry, and that's a very, very long time. It's galvanised parts of our great industry, elicited huge support, and reminded many people why we exist as an industry and what we can do to help people in so many important ways. 7 Families has a long way to go, and we believe it can achieve much. Please work with us to help us make it an even greater success.